Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Monday, the 13th of October. With Robert Murray McShane, we're working our way through the first book of Kings. Today, we read chapter 16, which is a saga of the kings of Israel. It begins with Baasha as king, and he reigns in Israel for 24 years. In verse 8, we're told his son, Elah, succeeds him as king, and he reigns for only 2 years. Because one of his officials, Zimri, decides he'll make a better king. So he goes and assassinates Elah and has himself declared king. And everybody around him says, here's the king. However, when the army hears that King Elah is dead, they declare the army commander, Omri, to be king in his place. Omri then marches on the city, and Zimri realizes he hasn't got an army to support him, so he commits suicide, and Omri would become king. Except there's a second faction supporting Tibni, and there's then conflict between Omri and Tibni's supporters, and eventually Omri's supporters win the day, and he is declared king. So Zimri reigned for 7 days, and then Omri reigned for 12 years, and Omri then dies, and his son Ahab succeeds him as king. And we're told he did more evil than all the others. And as I was reading this, just this constant change in political toing and froing and the problems that there were. And then I thought of our current situation in the world today, and we see the instability and the toing and the froing and the changing of positions. And the good order of the last 30-odd years, the post-war years, seems to have unraveled. And suddenly, an organization like the World Trade Organization, which managed trade between countries really well, suddenly is sidelined and counts for nothing. And we see China growing in might and raising up army, making weapons. The Middle East, we now have a peace treaty or an end of war treaty. I will have to see about the peace, because I'm not sure that what has happened in Gaza will lead to peace amongst the citizens of Gaza in the long term. And there's all this instability, and how do we make sense of it? And what do we do as Christians in a world that seems to be falling apart around us? We read these stories of the kings, and what you become aware of over the chapters is that behind it all, despite the machinations of the various individuals, God is slowly working his purpose out, doing what he has decided needs doing, using various people, allowing people free rein to do what they want, but working that into his plan. And ultimately, it all comes together in his hands. Not necessarily the way we'd want to go, but it all works according to his purpose and his plans, and ultimately works for his glory. And so in our world, in our lives, we look and we see what's going on, and we think we can't see exactly what the plan and purpose is, but we can trust that in the same way that God was behind and carrying things through the turmoil of 1 Kings chapter 16, he will be there carrying us through the turmoil of our world today. That is the confidence we have as we read through Scripture and know that that is the God that we serve. Be blessed.